Welcome back to the shop, my friends. So today is another Thursday for another tool test Thursday. What we have today is this Titan. It's a Titan from O'Reilly's. There's the number for it. 1/2 inch, 18 inch breaker bar. And I think a couple of different companies make this thing. Northern Tool, I think, makes one. And they just rebrand them to Titan. Or that's what this one is rebranded to a Titan. But what I really like about it is a ratcheting breakover bar, if y'all can hear that. Alright, and then you can reverse it and have it go the other way. So I guess this is going to be kind of a short video, because all I want to do is just see, we just got a loose bolt here. Alright, so let's get us something in the 1/2 inch realm that'll fit it properly. 3/4 inch. Okay, and we're just gonna test it a little bit and see what kind of pressure it can take. It's not going to be a very extensive video, but all right, so like if you put it on here and you think about trying to like break lug nuts off your truck or something like that, well, whenever you use a regular breaker bar, that's why I bought this thing. When you use a regular breaker bar and you go to tighten this thing down, you get half a turn, or you can set it up and spin it by hand, right, and just spin it around, but you can't get very much grip on this. And this one's smooth too, so it's the same thing. The only difference is this one ratchets. So whenever you put it on something, if you wanted to tighten it up, you would put it on the gear, you turn it to tighten, and then you could just use it like a ratchet. So we're ratcheting right now. Or if you have it held up like this, once you get down to where it's tight, you can ratchet it by hand like that. What I want to know is how good the gears are in it, because if it's a breaker bar, it's supposed to be something that you use whenever you're using like a ratchet or something like that. You want a little bit more length, and you want to be able to put a lot of torque on it without it slipping. So the geared head could prove kind of like a ratchet, to where you couldn't put as much torque on this thing without it slipping. So that's what we want to know. So we're going to put it on here, get it tight. Let's go ahead and get her tightened down. Alright, we got her tightened down, so now let's just back it around. Now, that's something I like, because if you have a breakover bar, if you get to a point to where it's like, let's say you're tightening this thing up, right? And you get around like with a normal breakover bar, and you're in this position right here, and it's snugged up. In order to back it up, you got to pick it up off the bolt, come around, find the bolt again, get you a good distance away from it, and then pull back to yourself. This one's kind of nice, because if you were in this position here and you're already extended, then you can just take and ratchet it around, right? So like you can just ratchet it around to where it needs to be, to where you can get another one. So I'm not sure what tooth this is. It's not 72 tooth. Does this say what it is? No, it don't say what the tooth, how many teeth it's got. It just says the maximum torque is 375 pounds. Now I don't know if that's 375 pounds in a geared, or if that's 375 pounds in the lock, because it has 3 positions. It has ratchet, lock, ratchet. So you have a lock in the middle to where it locks it up like a normal breaker bar. We're going to do it in the ratcheting while it's ratcheting. So this is the tightening of the ratchet. So we're going to go ahead and give it a pull. Okay. Let's have it, picking it up, being it's a breakover bar. Alright, so we must have it in, yeah, we had it in lock position. Alright, so let's give it a pull and see if we can strip out the gears. Oh, we turned the vise. We're turning the vise. Well, that's good. We know we got some we got some use for it. I mean, tightening. So let's just give this a good tighten. I just use the hole in a crescent wrench to tighten up a vise instead of hitting on them with a hammer. I hate hitting on tools with a hammer. Y'all see me doing that a lot, where whenever I say I don't want to hit on my vise with a hammer, I don't want to hit on anything with a hammer if I can help it. So I just use like the hole in a crescent wrench to tighten up the vise. All right, we got that. Now let's go ahead and give it a pull. All right, I'm getting deflection in the bar itself. The bar is actually bowing a little bit. I can see it whenever I'm pulling on it. So I know I'm putting some torque out on it, and the gears are holding up. Oh yeah. And then it still ratchets back. Let's do it again. I don't think you can get that much tighter. Let's see if I can get you up at a higher position, looking straight down so you can see the deflection in this thing. All right, let's see if we can see the deflection. If y'all can see if I can get it right underneath it so y'all can see it. There we go. We're kind of in line with it, and y'all can see how much deflection this bar has. So you can tell that I am putting out on this thing. It's not just, I'm not just doing something for camera. Okay, I think we are spinning. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We got it so tight that we're spinning that sucker around in the jaws. Okay, so it would be the same thing if we was trying to break it loose. So if we was trying to break it loose, as you can tell, the little gears, you just go back the other way. Okay, and now we're going to be breaking it loose with a ratcheting effect. Oh yeah, that sucker's on there tight. So it doesn't seem like the gears are going to strip out, so that's good. So let's talk about practicalities. Where would this come in handy? Well, let's say that you're trying to break the lug nuts off your car or something like that, and you needed that extra length that like the little tire iron doesn't have. Of course, a 4-way is probably my personal favorite for breaking those off, besides for an impact, because you got 2 points of contact on a 4-way and you can break it over. If you'll notice in most of my videos when I'm trying to put torque on something, I support the head with this hand. And that's my non-dominant hand, that's my left hand. And I do that just because I want to make sure that this thing ain't going to kick over on me, okay? And then, let me take this back down. And I don't mind stripping this bolt out if that's what it takes to prove the use for this thing. And like I said, I'm buying these tools and I'm putting them through this kind of torture, just basic torture. I wouldn't really call it a torture test, as I would call it just practical test. Like, what would you actually expect this tool to do? And I expect this tool to be able to take everything I can put out on it without putting a cheater pipe on it. So anything that I can put it through, then it's going to hold up for me. Maybe not for you if you're built like Brock Lesnar or something like that, that you can pull, they can pick up 1,000 pounds with on a straight bench press, something like that. This tool may not work for you. You may break it. But as far as me, I'm a pretty stout guy for a big guy. And I've rounded off plenty of bolts, and I broke the heads off of plenty of bolts with just a normal pipe or a normal ratcheting bar. So I support this here, and that's not to say that I'm stout or anything like that. That's just to say I want this tool to work for me and everything that I can physically put out on this thing. And if it'll hold up for me, that's what I want to know before I get it out to a job. And to tell you a little backstory on breaker bars, and I don't think I have it anymore. No, I don't have it anymore. My original breaker bar that I had was a Craftsman breaker bar. It's supposed to be the best ever. At least, besides for Snap-on, Mac tools, it's still a name in tools. It's not like a Chinese made. Craftsman's a decent made tool. So I was underneath the vehicle with a breaker bar trying to put on a receiver hitch underneath it. And I had my foot against the bumper and had lifted my back up off the ground on this breaker bar, trying to tighten up a bolt that somebody else had cross-threaded. And I was trying to get it off and then back on, changing out the bolts. It's just a sketchy situation. Well, I was underneath it, and I had this pipe on there, and I'm holding it like normal. I got my hand on the frame, so I'm holding myself up like this, and I'm using the bridge of my hand right against my thumb to hold the bar in place so it didn't slip out on me. And I started pulling on this thing. And I pulled everything I had until my arms were shaking, and she gave way. The head itself snapped off of the bolt on a Craftsman tool. And whenever it did that, my arm come down the side of the frame rail and ripped a big gash in my arm. Now, to say something about Craftsman is I took it down there, bleeding and everything. All I had was an oily rag on my arm. Went down there and threw it down on the table. They went and got me another one, gave it to me. But I didn't trust that tool anymore. And I went with something different. I found this Snap-on. I went with something different so far. I mean, like I said, it's got some wobble in it. It's got some a little bit of give to it now because of how much I put out on it. But that's just a little backstory on that. So whenever you see me doing these tool tests for me, I'm doing this in an environment to where my arm ain't going to rip down something, because that took a little while to heal. I'm trying to see if this tool is going to hold up for me out there before I get in the situation where I need it. That's basically what it is. And by doing this, I figured I'd film it. That way y'all could see it as well. Okay? So we're going to go back into this thing, and we're going to do it again. Now this box, I know in some of the videos you can see the box moving a little bit. That's because of the casters. This box weighs like 400 pounds. Then I got all my tools in it and everything like that, so it gets a little bit heavier. So let's go back to it and let's do it one more time, and I'm going to see if I can round this bolt off with the backstory you know now. That's why I'm testing all of these tools the way I'm testing them. Alright, I got my hand up against it. This is a 3/4 inch bolt, by the way, so it can take a lot of torque, and this is a grade 8. I like to see if maybe I can break the head of the bolt off, because then I know I can put out as much as possible on it. This thing is tight right now. And ratcheting kind of scares me, the fact that it does ratchet. I mean, it's beefy. It's really beefy, and I'll get a pair of calipers and show you how beefy it is whenever I'm done here. But I just want to make sure the gears ain't got to strip. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. It won't, all I'm doing is chewing up the outside of that nut. I might save that nut for a video after this. I think I'm going to put an impact on a set of these. But anyway, we got that. Let me get a pair of calipers here. So, just to give you some dimensions, the actual rod itself is 650, which is 5/8. It's 5/8. It's right around 5/8. It's not exactly 5/8. And the head here, the actual ratcheting head, is an inch, a little over 1.25 inches around. So if you're trying to get in a tight spot, that could be a problem. It has a decent sized bolt going through it, as you can see right there. And it's a socket head, so you could fix it out. What size bolt's going through there? Looks to me like the head of the bolt is 450. The actual bolt diameter is going to be 1/4 inch. So it has a 1/4 inch bolt going through it. So it's probably a 1/4 20 or a 1/4 28 bolt going through there. I have to say it's a pretty decent tool. Okay, I've put out on it. For my needs, I feel safe going underneath the car with this thing and pulling on it. I'm not worried about it, about the gears giving out on me. Still snaps back and forth. Nothing's wrong with the gears. And that you're really not going to break the gears on that unless a tooth was to break off while you was pulling it. That's the thing about a ratcheting thing. Whereas a regular breakover bar, you don't have any teeth to deal with there. It's just 2 points with a bolt through it, and if it shears off, it normally shears off the bolt. But on that particular case I was telling you about, it sheared off the actual socket. All right, so we went over that. I think that's pretty definitive for me, myself. Hope you gained something from it. If you want it, it's Titan. I think Northern Tool sells one. A couple other people sell one. I'm not sure if Harbor Freight sells one. If they do, I'll try to find it and maybe put it up to the test. Other than that, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about the videos. Have a great day.